Hey folks, how is everyone doing? Welcome to all you new subscribers, and all of you that have been here. I really appreciate what you're doing, the commenting, the likes, just the views in general. Just, yeah guys, I appreciate it. Little channel's growing, and that's a good thing. Just a hobby, and I'm just glad to share it with you guys. We done it again. This will probably be the last one I buy for a while, unless somebody wants one put together or something. But ms380 038 kit saw, whatever you want to call it, Farmertec, hutzl, Forma. They go by several different names, but I buy these off a guy in the States. It costs you just a little bit more, but like I've said, you don't have to wait 45 days to get the thing either. This one's set here a couple weeks because I've got a couple other projects I've been working on, and we just kind of been busy around here. Got a couple evenings free and put it together. Crankcases went together good on it. Had a really nice piston, but the cylinder, 9 out of 10 people would have just thrown it away or sent it back. But I'm stubborn, and I said, hey, let's see if we can make it work. I've got video of it all I'm going to put in with this. It's in high definition, up close port work. Some of it's not as up close as others, but I done what I could. It's really hard to port through the monitor of a video camera. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, but we got some of it done for you guys. The new porting tools I got, I'm really liking them. Did I need those? No. Do you need them to port your saw? No, you do not absolutely need those. I've got ways that I can use the Dremel and adjust my upper transfers just fine, but I just like having nice tools. I'd looked at that kit for a couple of years, and my wife said just buy it, so I did. Just bought it. I've got thousands of dollars worth of other tools. It's not a big deal. That kit is actually a little over $900. You can buy another kit that just comes with the hand pieces, the motor, the pedal, and I do think you get 2 carbide cutters with it for, I think it's $806. You'd have to go to their website and look, but once I added up what was all in that bag, the mandrels, the cartridge rolls, the carbide cutters, the polishing stones, to me it was worth the extra $100. But anyway, it's not what this is about. I'm getting off track. The exhaust port on that cylinder, the bolt holes were in the wrong place. They was over to the right, probably half a hole or a whole bolt hole too far. Intake port was sitting kind of goofy and off to one side a little more than it should have. The intake boot mounting flange was too close to the cylinder head. I had to trim the intake boot to even get it to go on and clamp down. There's some stuff in the air filter I had to go in and grind on and clean up. Still not a fan of that thing. Probably end up ordering like a Highway or maybe one from the Duke or something. Just a little better air filter. I've used Stens filters, or hell, we may even spend the extra money and just get an OEM filter. Probably be double the price, but in this application, the way that air filter is made, it may be worth the extra money. But anyway, with that said, because of the cylinder being junk and needing thrown away, I took the port work pretty far. I didn't go real aggressive on widening the ports, but they were already super wide anyway. Went a little more aggressive with the timing than I normally would on a saw this size that I plan on working with. We ended up the 162 degrees of exhaust duration, which is kind of still being kind of usable. I wouldn't really call it a real hot number, but it's a little hotter than I generally go with something I'm going to work with. Intake duration 158 degrees, and we ended up with let's see, 21 degrees below down. I've got the transfer set open at 120 degrees. What else? We really went in and worked the transfer ports, kind of changed the angle on the exit of the port. Mainly the way I done that will generally yield more torque in the cut. And doing my test cuts, I've made a lot of test cuts trying to get the saw dialed in. It's still a little fat up top, but pulls really strong in the cut when you've got it dogged in. Gosh, what else? Overall, I guess it went together pretty good. I'm trying to think. And there was one other, and the other problem with it was the E-clip for the clutch. It was just way too thick. Had a little bit of trouble with that, nothing major, but and it did come with a spur on the drum. I don't like those, but the 044 kit had one too. It is what it is. I probably won't replace it. It's not that big of a deal, but anyway, I think it's going to make a good saw. We'll try to get it out in the woods maybe this weekend. They're giving a little snow tonight, but I don't know what that's going to amount to, so hopefully we can get over to the property and put this thing to work a little bit this weekend. But I'm going to quit running my mouth, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy this little bit of porting video I'm going to put together here for you. Have a good one. Alright guys, I know you can see it because I'm actually porting this through the the monitor on my camera, which is not easy. It's doable. I've got, well, you can see that line's all but gone. I had in there, if you can see it. If not, I apologize. What I done, I pushed the ring up, took a fine Sharpie and marked, but we've got a little lump right here. And guys, these carbide cutters, run them with a slow speed if you have a good cutter. The cheaper ones you can run a little quicker, but these really good fine cutting double cuts, they want to be run slow. And I think we have that out of there. That's the cutter I'm using. Does a really fine job. We will not leave that as a finish. I don't know how much I'll widen that port in it, if any at all. We'll mainly just clean it up. The outside of it, as you've done seen, what I'll do is I'll bolt my gasket on, and we'll mark what needs to be cut and get a gasket matched to it. That way we know our muffler will line up and work right. But this is some crazy shit. I should probably just take a picture of that and send to the seller, but he has like a 10-day limit on returning stuff, and this has been sitting here 10 days, so it is what it is. Ain't no big deal. I'm not too concerned about it. I know I can make it work, but yeah, I'll cut you back on shortly. Just to give you an idea of how batshit crooked that port is, there you go. What I've got to do is trim. It'll be my left side of that back to the opening of the port, and then we'll just take a Sharpie and mark around that and do our best to match it to the rest of the gasket. Hey guys, rough cuts. We cut out, our lines disappeared. The inside we went in, you seen, and cut down to where our line was for our port timing. What I'll do now is check the gasket alignment on the outside of that and put it on the saw and check the port timing and see that it's right where I think it should be. And then we'll do our cleanup the cartridge roll. Okay, we checked our port timing. It's right where we want to be. The saw will be turned up pretty hot. If it blows, whatever. I've switched hand pieces, cartridge roll. This hand piece here is going to spin a little higher because the pedal's screwed up. And it is wide open and nothing. Right now we're just smoothing out our rough cut. Those do a really nice job. I'm going to try to do this at angles where you can see it. Again, this is not the easiest thing in the world to do for me. I'm porting through the camera lens. Again, we're just going to blend in our rust cut right now. Can't cut much on that side at all. I don't even have to explain it. You can see what a finish those leave. But sadly, on that, it'll be my left side. Here we can't really do much with that wall because the damn bolt hole was drilled about half a hole off. Yeah, it's not looking bad. This is one of the worst cylinders I've boarded, but I believe we can make it work. We're not worried about it. What I'm going to do next is go in with this same roll and just slightly widen those. Port's really wide inside already, as you can see, but it's not going to hurt anything to knock it back just a little bit, blend it in. Alright guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and kind of, it'll widen these just a little bit, but not a whole lot. It's mainly just going to blend in and clean up the edges. You can actually go in with a square, whatever you want to do, in a marker, mark this stuff and square it, but in my opinion, it just doesn't seem to make a noticeable difference, and it's just really time consuming, and I don't really like leaving nothing square anyway. We'll zoom in and give you a look at that. This leaves a pretty good finish. We'll go in and do the other side now. Not a lot, just minimal. There's actually some plating on that side hanging over into the port, and what we just done was just corrected that and smoothed it out. You could probably hear it. Probably the most uneven, unsymmetrical port I've ever worked with in my life on anything. That is way better than what we started with. The bolt holes are still half a hole off, but we'll be able to get it mounted to our muffler with a good even transition, and I've got the gasket matched to it. So what we'll get into next is polishing this, and we should have a nice, good looking high flowing port on a piece of shit Chinese cylinder. Alright guys, we're going to go to the final step of this, which is the polish. What I'm going to use here, normally I'll go in, you can do it this way with a 600 grit, and then I'll go to a 1200 grit, and then I'll put some kind of polish and pad on the Dremel, which is what we've moved to, the Dremel flex shaft, and this is all you need to pour the salt. Actually, I have other grinders that just for the plain simple fact that I wanted them, and I just like having nice things. But honestly, a Dremel is all you need to pour the salt. This is like a rubber stone, really fine grit. We're going to go in and try to lay a polish on this thing now. Got the RPMs up really high. Wrong pedal. I've got 3 pedals here at my feet. That's just my collet hitting the fins of the cylinder. Alright guys, if you remember what we started with was a messed up looking crooked port. Now we've got a not so crooked, nice, clean, smooth, polished, high flowing port. Bolt hole's about a half a bolt hole off. It's not a big deal. Port itself sitting about where it should be. What little it's off is not going to make a difference. We did end up with about a near mirror finish polish on that. Some people are against polishing, some people love it. I'm one of the ones that love it. This is the only port you want to polish though. You probably go a little wider on those, but you're not going to pick up that much of a difference for what we're going to do with this saw. And you do need to chamfer. By chamfer, you go around and make a little microscopic bevel around the edges of that port to where your rings can make a smooth transition in and out of that port, and to make sure there's no sharp edges or burrs. You can do that by hand with some sandpaper. You can use diamond ball cutters, cartridge roll, whatever you want to use. You just want to bevel that or chamfer it and make yourself a nice port. But that's it here tonight. Okay guys, we're going to start here with the transfer pockets first. I'm not even sure you'll be able to see me use the right hand tool to get in when I go to adjust my upper transfers and change the angle on them. But what we're going to do here is this lower transfer is super wide. There's no need to widen it anymore. What I'm going to do is there's a lip right here. We're going to go in and just blend that in with the rest of this, and it's really lumpy. Again, piece of crap Chinese cylinder. The OEM ones aren't a whole lot better. So yeah, we're gonna start there. Okay guys, stock port. Pretty highly modified port. I've not done the upper yet. We'll do those last after I do the pocket on the other side. Alright guys, we've got our transfer ports done. See, I've got a ring right there. Go over to the other side to show you that they are dead even. I'll give final numbers on this after the saw runs and at the end of the video, but it should run pretty good. When I mentioned angling those, they're angled to where they should shoot straight across the piston but kind of back up toward the back of the combustion chamber on the intake side. That generally will make more torque aiming it up toward there. If you just aim them straight up and across toward the middle of the combustion chamber, that will tend to lead to higher RPM, higher revving saw. But anyway, with that said, as you can see, we have some highly modified transfer ports. There's ways you can go in and set those without the right angle. I've used flat stones, round flat diamond cutters, done all that for years. It works fine, but you're just not going to get into the very back corners of that port, and you're not going to be able to change the angle on it. And when I say change the angle, it is changed very, very minimally. So right now what we've got a decked base. Our transfer ports are done. Exhaust port finished. Got us a really nice polish on that. Our bolt holes are about half a hole off. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. We do have a nice squish band, and this intake port I'm not sure on. If you look at it from the outside, it does kind of look like it was meant to be set toward the right side a little more than the left. So I don't know. I've only had my hands on one other 038, and I didn't really pay that much of attention to it back then. I just kind of cleaned the ports up and put it on the saw. But what I intend to do is widen this port on the left side if there's enough meat there to do it, which it really don't look like there is a lot, but we'll try to widen it toward this left side a little bit. And there's a lot of casting hangover. We'll clean that up and set our timing, and we'll open this up a little bit. You can't really go out much. You will cut through them. There's not a lot of material there, but we'll do our best. That'll be what we do next. Okay, we're going to do this intake port. You can hog this out, but there's really not a lot of sense in it. Someone had even mentioned that in one of my comments. A lot of people hog that out if the intake boot kind of covers and laps over. I don't know, people just do it. I've done it myself. I think we all just like to grind on stuff, to be honest with you. What I am going to do is just kind of slightly open this up and round it a little and kind of make like a cone or funnel effect. I feel it helps velocity. It may or may not, but we're going to get started with that. Starting to come into the shape that I want. This side I'm not going to widen anymore. It's like super close anyway to about where the piston skirt would be. We can probably widen it a little. I might go in and take a little swap or two, but this side over here we can take just a little further. It's really not the best bit for this, but you know what, we'll wing it. If you're chattering, find a speed it likes. It's about the only advice I can give. Could be slower, could be faster. Usually you're gonna chatter when you're on something hard or against the plating of the cylinder anyway. Okay, that looks rough as shit. That's fine. We call it a rough cut. You can go a little faster and lightly clean that up that bit, but I'd rather go to the right tool and use sandpaper wheel, stone, whatever you want to use. Just something to clean all this up and make it look a little better and flow a little better. And if you ain't figured it out now, my weapon of choice for cleanup. Drop that down. I needed to drop it down 20 or 30 thousandths or so to hit the timing number I wanted. We should hit pretty close. If not, I'll have to pull it back off and cut a little more out of the very bottom of the port. On this build, I'm shooting for an intake duration of somewhere around 160 degrees. Get close to that, we'll be just fine. I've got one little lump here in the middle I think I'm going to try to knock down. It's not bad, and this may be called a done deal, and hopefully we hit our timing number. I didn't need to move it much. It's probably 20 thousandths. Not really a way to put a ring in and make a mark. It's just you kind of figure out how much it takes to move it a certain degree and grind and redo the intake port. I say for last because it's kind of a headache to do for me anyway. Okay, hopefully you can kind of see in there. If you remember what we started with and what we've got, we kind of retained the same shape But I've got my, like I told a guy, I make like a funnel or a cone, whatever you want to call it. Just in my opinion, from my experience over the years, I kind of feel it just helps velocity a little bit. And you want velocity, you want things going into there quick. But as you can see, we've drastically changed the size of that port. Like I said, hopefully our timing's right where we want it to be. If it is, we should have this thing cleaned up and about ready to go on, but I am going to modify the piston just a little bit because we are turning this one up pretty hot. Okay, you get the general idea of what I'm doing. I'm not going to video all of this. See the difference in this side and that. We're not going drastic. I could go in and cut all of this out and it'd really lighten it up and the transfers would flow that much better, but it's going to take away from the integrity of the piston, and we don't want to weaken our piston, especially in the wrist pin mounting area. So we're just going to keep it simple. Just slightly open these pockets up. It will lighten it a little, drop a few grams, and call it a done deal. Alright guys, there's our piston. I could go in and do a lot more with that. Fine tune it a little more, but they're opened up pretty good. We're just going to call it is what it is and get the thing assembled. Okay guys, gonna give you a look at the finished product. We'll start with the exhaust port in a nice polished, widened, timing changed, high flowing exhaust port. Got a very highly modified transfer port, timing changed, pockets opened up, intake port. We done a lot there. Again, just look back at where we started and what we finished with. Got a larger, higher flowing intake port, timing change. It's not a polished finish on those transfers or the intake. It's a 120 grit finish, which will not puddle fuel. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little work to the pockets on the piston. We'll cut you on, give you a look at that.